What is up, MOMnation? Happy Tuesday, and welcome back to Energy Shift with Erin. I'm Erin. Obviously, I hope you guys are all having a good week. This is our weekly health, wellness, and mindset check-in. I had a really cool meeting with the Biz Moms group last night. So we had about 8 women, business owning women who got together and hoping to continue to bump that up. So if you're watching this and you are a business owning lady, join the Biz Mom group. Let me know if you need the link for that. We will be doing a weekly or a monthly Zoom call to go over all kinds of things that are helping us out with our businesses, find out how we can support each other, have a good referral network for each other, and overall just support each other in our entrepreneurial endeavors. So jump on in there. We would love to have you. I hope you guys all had a fantastic week this week. If you watched my energy shift episode last week, we talked a little bit about hormones. I have started on my own hormone journey. I've been dealing with a lot of sleep issues and then just some basic perimenopause symptoms. I'm 42, so it was time to look into that. Luckily, I have mostly everything in line naturally. I've been able to supplement some help for my thyroid, and I started on a small dose of testosterone, and we're hoping that that helps with energy improvement, sleep, some inflammatory things that I've had going on, and yeah, so far it's been just about a week on all of that stuff, but my sleep has not improved yet, but I have high hopes. I'm getting off of a medication that I was on for sleep. I try to just personally reduce my pharmaceutical intake as much as I possibly can. And I was having a lot of weird negative side effects from this particular pharmaceutical that I was on. I don't think that it was really helping me in the way that I wanted it to. So I'm going back to the more natural route and hoping some HRT will help me out. So if you guys ever have questions on that, whether it's from my own experience or my professional experience, you're more than welcome to reach out. I work with a lot of people on HRT, not on HRT, on GLP-1s, on GLP-1s. I don't hold any judgment over any of that stuff. I'm here to offer a sounding board or advice when it comes to those things and your health and wellness journey. If it's something that you've been looking into or something you think you might be looking into starting up, or you're on your own health, wellness, fat loss journey and you just kind of need some advice, I'm always here to help support you guys. You can always send me a DM on that stuff. And as I get further into the process, I'll kind of let you know how that stuff goes as well. I'm not currently supplementing or taking estrogen or progesterone, just a small dose of testosterone for now to see how that balances me out. And then I'll do blood work in another 12 weeks or so to reassess my hormone panels. Thyroid and testosterone were the main things that I was dealing with. So again, if you have any questions on that, I just like to share my personal protocols or my personal story. I don't ever leave anything out of the equation because I want you guys to know that if you're looking into some balance in perimenopause or some balance with hormones, whatever age you are, or on a fat loss journey or on a health and wellness journey, I like to just be as candid as I possibly can on what I'm using and how it's affecting me, how it's changing my body composition, how it's changing my biofeedback, my sleep, my energy levels, so that you can just know exactly what I have going on. I don't ever pretend like I don't, I don't try things. I have not used any hormones previously, and I have been able to manage and maintain my weight relatively well. And we'll get into that in a minute. I haven't talked about fat loss on here. I was trying to keep the conversation slightly more balanced with mindset stuff, nutrition stuff, general health stuff. But I think the conversation about fat loss is valid too. And it's something worth diving into, especially if we're navigating it in a healthy way. Because there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of women who are struggling, and I like to be as honest and as upfront as I can be when it comes to especially body composition change. And I fully feel and know, based on years of experience and hundreds of clients, that a lot of these things can be accomplished without adding hormones or pharmaceuticals. In some cases, it does make fat loss easier, does lower inflammation. It can help with stress response and sleep, which all are a factor when it comes to our health and our body compositions. So there's some benefit to it on either end. And again, I'm just sharing so that, I don't expect that things are going to drastically change for me. I wasn't doing this as a method for fat loss. I'm actually solid and maintaining my body composition. If anything, I'd like to build more muscle mass. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. But I like to be honest, and I just share what it is that I'm doing and what it is that's working, what's not working, why I'm using it, why I'm not using it, whatever the case may be. And I have implemented and worked with people with all kinds of protocols over the past 5 years. So I have a lot of knowledge over a lot of these things in general too. So again, if you have questions about this stuff, please feel free to reach out, or you can always pop questions into the chats here. I am always willing to troubleshoot with you. So we're going to talk about the difference between fat loss and weight loss today, and why this really matters for your health. Whether or not you have a fat loss goal, it's important to understand the difference just so you know what's happening with your body. So if you're at a body composition that you're super happy with and you get on the scale and it's fluctuating, you're going to know why. If you are not at a body composition that you're happy with, you want to lose some body fat, this is going to help you do it in a sustainable way, because my goal is always to help people get body fat off. I often say that I don't really care about fat loss. That's something that just goes along with the process of what I do in most cases. What I really care about is your health, the fact that you can sustain your results long term, and that you live a life that is healthy and happy. So we don't want to go over restrictive. We don't want to compromise our family dynamic, like saying no to birthday cake at your kid's birthday party. Those kinds of things I shy away from, because I think that mindset and family time and enjoying life is all a part of wellness, as well as nourishing our bodies, exercising, moving, those kinds of things. So it's important with this to understand the difference between fat loss and weight loss. In a lot of cases, what we're looking at is weight loss, and this is where we get ourselves into a myriad of problems. Weight loss occurs when we lower inflammatory foods, when we add exercise, and when we lower our caloric intake. Any of those three things could result in weight loss. Weight, however, is a combination of a lot of things. If you want to improve your health by lowering your body fat percentage, or, you go to the doctor's office, they say that you need to lose weight, you actually need to lose fat. There's a lot of inflammation, there's fluid, there's blood, there's bones, there's muscle tissue, and there's fat. So we have to understand what the difference is. And when we are approaching fat loss as opposed to weight loss, that process is just slower. So if you're seeing somebody who potentially lost, more than 2 pounds a week for a long amount of time, they're probably putting themselves into a highly restrictive state. And we are losing weight, which means that we're losing fluid, body fat, and muscle, not just body fat. Now, in most cases, when you are in a fat loss phase, you will see a little bit of muscle decline. That's natural, but we want to mitigate that. The reason why is that muscle is our body's most metabolically active tissue. It helps with hormonal regulation. It helps with insulin regulation, all kinds of things that are imperative to your health long term. So even if you are not on a fat loss journey, the maintenance of muscle is the should be your primary health and wellness concern in a lot of cases. And when you're eating properly, high protein, high fiber, mostly whole foods, cooking more at home, limiting alcohol, limiting meals out, and you're adding resistance training, you're not only going to see inflammatory reduction, but you will see improvements in body composition. So in some cases that might not mean weight loss, but it will mean that you look more toned. That is a word that really just indicates the fact that you have more muscle on your frame. And again, muscle is vital to our health. And generally, when I'm working with women, especially over the age of 35, many of the issues that we have that we see in fat loss resistance and hormonal imbalances and digestion imbalances and high inflammatory responses is the fact that we are lacking in our lean muscle mass. So we need to prioritize that even if we want to lose body fat. So lifting weights 2 to 4 times a week. If you want, I have a workout template I will send over to you. You can do it at home or at the gym, but making sure you are spending some time under tension, lifting weights 2 to 4 times a week. It doesn't have to be a crazy amount of time. You can see good results at 2 times a week for 30 minutes. And once your body gets used to that, you're probably going to want to add more anyway. That's usually what I see is it feels daunting in the beginning, but when we start to see results, if we start to feel better overall, we want to add more to that. It's a dopamine response. It's a normal human response. Like once we start seeing the fruits of our effort, we're willing to do more, or we want to do more naturally, and it doesn't feel as daunting to fit into the schedule or routine. So like I said, you can fit those in 2 times a week at 30 minutes if you're newer, or up to, I like 4 a week. I think 4 a week is super manageable. And again, you want to resistance train to maintain muscle mass. Make sure you're eating high protein while you're in a fat loss phase. If you don't care about fat loss right now, all you want to do is either maintain or grow a little bit of muscle. No, you are not going to get bulky, but what is going to happen is you're going to have that more defined look, leaner waist, bigger glutes, more shoulders, all the things that ladies like. And you're going to have an easier time processing food. So your BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate, meaning the calories that you are burning just living, like being alive, is going to go up. So you don't have to add a lot more exercise. I often see women over exercising in order to accommodate that caloric burn, when really what they should be doing is prioritizing muscle growth and strength in order to accommodate a higher BMR that will allow you to eat more flexibly while still maintaining your body weight or losing body weight, whatever your current goal is. So we want to get in the gym and we want to be lifting. Something else that we need to understand is that there are a lot of ways that our bodies burn calories. So if we are approaching this correctly, we understand that first we have our BMR, which is our basal metabolic rate. Essentially, if you were laying down in a coma state, laying in bed, and weren't moving at all, your body still requires calories to keep you alive. That is your BMR. Then there is your total daily energy expenditure. So we're going to account for your BMR plus your TDEE, which is going to include your workouts, your NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is steps essentially. So how many steps you get. That's why when you see a lot of fitness or wellness people talking, we do talk about steps often, because a lot of us now are working more sedentary jobs. I know for me, like today is my check-in day, and then I go right into energy shift. So I got up at 6:30 this morning, had my coffee, and I write my email in the mornings, and then I went pretty much right into my client check-ins. So I've been sitting for a majority of the morning. As soon as I jump off here, I'm going to have lunch and then go on a walk to start getting my steps in for the day. Usually every day except for Tuesday, we'll have done at least a 30-minute walk by now, but however you have to do that. So, for 15-minute walks a day to 20-minute walks a day, whatever it is to help get those neat calories up. I like a 7 to 10,000 step goal a day. So that's going to account for your energy expenditure as well. So we have your basal metabolic rate, your exercise calories, your neat calories, and then there is the thermogenic effect of food. And this is highly important, and one thing that a lot of people will overlook when it comes to both health and body composition goals. So what I'm speaking to is primarily going to help benefit your health, and it will lead to body fat loss if that is a goal, but it can just help you with energy levels, with better sleep, with more stable hormones, with building muscle mass, all of those things. So this can be accomplished or done and followed whether or not you have a fat loss goal. And it's really important to do so, especially as we get a little bit older, because we start losing muscle mass at 30 naturally. So if we're not working on maintaining or building, we are losing. And that is why we start to see a lot of shifts in metabolism and body composition when we enter 40s, 50s, and beyond. So we can mitigate that by making sure that we have enough muscle tissue as soon as we start to be aware of this. So if that's today, no matter what age you are, we can get started today. If you're already started on it, awesome. But all of this is going to help. And yes, it can still improve your body composition, your hormones, your metabolism, all of those things if you are currently in my age range and are not doing these things yet. You can start now and still get massive health benefits and massive body composition change benefits if that is your goal. So those are the ways that your body burns calories. So there's more than one thing. And the thermogenic effect of food is pretty magical because it's going to help with things like cravings. There's a lot of talk about food noise these days. Generally speaking, when people are experiencing a lot of cravings, a lot of food noise, a lot of digestional issues, it's often because we are low in protein and low in fiber. And that is just kind of a side effect of having more easily processed foods, more foods readily available, hitting drive-throughs, those kinds of things. We are not consuming enough protein and fiber. When we do that, it takes our bodies more calories to break down. So that means you're going to stay full longer. You're going to burn more calories from the foods that you ate, and you are going to have better digestion and gut health. What a lot of people don't know as well is that your gut is directly connected to your feel-good hormones, so serotonin and dopamine. If you're having gut issues and you're feeling a lot of anxiety, some maybe mild depression, your motivation is lacking, it's often because your gut health and your gut microbiome is off. So eating a high protein, high fiber diet is going to help improve that stuff as well. Get your digestion moving, make sure you're having regular bowel movements, which also affects weight. So if we're looking at like inflammatory spikes, let's say one day you get on the scale and you don't understand how you're up 3 to 5 pounds, that's usually digestion and inflammation, not fat gain. And if you start to pay attention to that, you're going to start to identify things that might be triggering your system, which I find to be far more important in improving both health and body composition than just focusing on fat loss, just like trying to dive straight into a caloric deficit. If we understand why our body is responding the way that it is, we can mitigate that and mitigate stressors and not have to underconsume or restrict extremely in order to feel better, have more energy, sleep better, reach our body composition goals, all of the things that we want to accomplish with a whole heck of a lot less stress. And that is key to, again, like maintaining a quality of life that you love and working on your health, which I think both can go hand in hand. And it's really, really important to do so. So high protein, high fiber diet. I would say eating a minimum of 100 grams of protein a day, unless you are teeny tiny and under 100 pounds. In that case, eat closer to 1 gram of protein per pound of current body weight. But if you are over 100 pounds, eating at least 100 grams of protein a day and eating a minimum of 25 grams of fiber per day from whole food sources. So things, fruits, berries are great. Vegetables, green vegetables, nuts, seeds, popcorn, dark chocolate. I have a fiber list. If you want it, let me know. I will send it over to you. But these things alone, without even worrying about calories, are going to improve a lot of these things that we're talking about and lead to an inflammatory shift downwards. That's what we want to see first. So if you are on a weight loss journey, we want to see inflammation go down first. And we can often do that by making sure that your food quality is on point without stressing the system and without extremely lowering calories or even lowering calories at all. We're often dealing with inflammation first, and we want to really figure that out, and then we can tap into fat loss if that is your goal. But if you are experiencing this, you might feel bloated after you're eating, or have some gas issues in the evening, those kinds of things, or have trouble going to the bathroom regularly, or have loose stools, or those kinds of things. Those are all signs that your digestion is off, and we need to fix that before we dive into further health and body composition. So we want to understand that fat loss is slow and weight loss is fast. When we're going too fast, we're going to risk our metabolic health. We're going to risk our gut health. We're going to risk our liver health. And we don't want to do that, especially as we start to get a little bit older. Those things are going to impact us greatly when your hormones start to shift in perimenopause. And of course, I talk about this a lot. And I think, we're probably all relatively around the same age. I know there's some younger mamas here, but I always want to encourage you, especially if you are in your 20s, if you start this now. I wish I would have started this in my 20s. In my 20s, all I did was run. I worked at a bar. I drank way too much. I didn't pay attention to what I was eating. And yes, I was able to maintain my body composition a lot easier than I did in my late 30s and now early 40s. But if I would have started this all then, I didn't get started with weight training until I was 29, 30-ish, somewhere in there. And if I had started at 25, things would be a whole hell of a lot easier. So if you are younger and you are watching this, it's not just for women in their late 30s, 40s, and 50s. It's for you too, to get started as soon as you possibly can. Because again, all of this stuff is going to continue to improve your health, which is going to keep everything stable for you as you enter older years of life. But if you are already here, if you're in your late 30s, early 40s, 50s, and you are struggling with some of this stuff, all of these tips and tricks are going to help you. And know, again, that if you do have a fat loss goal, we want slow because we want to be targeting body fat and not your muscle tissue, to avoid things like insulin resistance and gut dysfunction and metabolic conditions and thyroid issues and those kinds of things that often come from highly restrictive dietary protocols, low carb dieting, aggressive fasting, those kinds of things that make stress higher. And we don't have to do that stuff. Like, yes, there is an exception for everything. And I understand that. There are some people who thrive in fasting. There are some people who thrive with low carb and can continue to do that through the duration of most days for the rest of their life. But those people are the exception, not the rule. Most of us want a little bit more flexibility in our intake. We want to be able to go out to eat with our families or go on vacations, and we're not going to remain low carb while we're on vacation. We want to have meals that are fun and have some French fries or tortillas or pasta or those kinds of things. And it's totally, absolutely doable. So again, if you're in the exception, that's cool, but I'm speaking to the masses, and what most of us need is a balanced diet, high protein, high fiber, including carbohydrates, something that's promoting muscle mass growth and maintenance if you're in fat loss. And if you start to focus in on all of these things and slowly implement them into your life, you are going to start to notice a lot of things too. Like I was talking about the inflammatory spike. I will have people who DM me or message me, even newer clients that are like, I gained a pound this weekend. And then we get into it and we have a conversation. It's like, you didn't gain body fat. You maybe ate out a little bit more, you traveled, so you had an altitude switch, or maybe you came up to northern Arizona, those kinds of things that can result in inflammation. And once we start identifying those triggers, you will start to be more in tune with your body. You will stop focusing so much on the scale and focus a little bit more on health, how your body's feeling, how your digestion is, how your sleep is. All of those things are really, really important. And in turn, you probably will gain a more favorable body composition as well, whether that is maintenance of weight and just getting more toned, or whether that is fat loss, depending on what your goal is. So we want to focus on fat loss if we have that goal. If you don't have that goal, we want to focus on muscle maintenance or muscle growth, and that's going to happen slowly. Don't worry, you're not going to become a buff bodybuilder overnight. Believe me, I have tried for years and years, and I still don't have the amount of muscle I wanted. Like I said in the beginning of this, my goal right now is just to build some more muscle mass. So that could be your goal as well. Eating a high protein, high fiber diet. If you need help figuring out how much, like I said, trying to stick to about 100 grams of protein a day and 25 grams more of fiber. All of these things are going to be highly beneficial regardless of your goal. It's going to help maintain muscle mass. It's going to help your metabolism. It's going to help your hormones. It's going to help your digestion, all of which will lead to the inflammatory shifts you want to see downwards, lower inflammation, more muscle, more tone, and less body fat. So all of it is a win-win. If you have any questions about any of that, if you want to talk HRT, if you want to talk GLP-1s, if you want to talk fat loss in general, if you want to talk health in general, gut health, sleep improvement, sleep is the main thing that I work on for myself because it is a struggle for me. It's the main thing that I have been working on for, a couple of years now. Yes, I have had body composition goals in there as well, but the main thing that I struggle with is sleep. So if that is you too, I did do a training on sleep. If you go through all of the energy shifts, you'll find one on sleep. But if you want me to help you troubleshoot, I'm more than happy to do so. So just reach out, send me a friend request or a DM. I have a lot going on in my Facebook. So if I don't respond to you, it might have gone to message requests. So send me another one, shoot me a follow, whatever the case may be, so that we can get in contact. But I'm an open book and I love to talk about this stuff with you guys. So let me know how I can help you. Hopefully this helped you out as well, kind of getting a little bit more knowledge about how your body works, how it burns calories, how it builds muscle, how your metabolism works, and to a happy and healthy rest of the year and beyond. I will see you guys all next week. We will be back. I have some guests that I think are going to be popping in, hopefully, from the referral group that we got rolling yesterday. So look forward to that. Some mental health professionals, some other coaches. I would love to have you on. If you're watching this and you want to chat live, please let me know. I'm more than willing to accommodate your schedule too, because I have a lot more flexibility because I work from home. So anyway, you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys all next week.
Struggling to feel your best? When energy is low and nothing seems to work, it's time for a new approach. Here's someone who guides real people to real, lasting wellness. Meet Erin McDonald, certified master health coach, nutrition coach, and NASM personal trainer. Helping you create simple, lasting routines that support a healthier, more energized you. Feel better, move better, live better. Because health isn't just a goal, it's a lifestyle you deserve. Take the first step toward feeling your best. Your future self will thank you. Connect with Erin today.